Hello and welcome sa MATHaglish. Kung bago ka lang sa aking channel, ako si Ben Paul de la Cruz at layunin ko matulungan ng mga Pilipinong mag-aaral na mas maintindihan ng math. For today's discussion, pag-uusapan natin yung notion ng infinite limits. Ano nga ba ang infinite limits? So before tayo pumunta sa intuitive definition, magbibigay muna ako ng ilang examples. Sa example number 1, consider natin yung function f of x equals 1 over x squared. And tignan muna natin yung limit ng f of x as x approaches 0 from the left. Ano kaya nilalapitan ng f of x habang si x ay papalapit kay 0 galing sa kaliwa? So makikita nyo dito sa graph, ang nilalapitan ng f of x ay walang specific number. Pataas lang to ng pataas ng walang bound. Ang concern ng limits ay behavior. Sa case na to, hindi nag-e-exist yung limit, pero may masasabi pa rin tayo regarding sa behavior ni f of x as x approaches 0 from the left. Pataas na ng pataas without bound. And dahil doon, ang gagawin natin notation, yung limit ng f of x as x approaches 0 from the left ay positive infinity. Okay? So isusulat natin yung limit ay positive infinity, pero hindi nag-exist yung limit, no? Ginagamit lang natin to para i-describe yung behavior ng graph na nag-i-increase to without bound as x approaches 0 from the left. Okay? So, paano naman yung from the right? So, tingnan natin, habang si x ay papalapit ng papalapit kay 0 galing sa kanan, yung f of x pataas lang ng pataas and wala ring ina-approach na specific real value. Ito ay nag-i-increase without bound and therefore, ang isusulat ulit natin dito ay positive infinity. Klaro ba yon? So ngayong nakuha natin itong dalawang to, punta tayo sa two-sided limit. Yung limit ng f of x as x approaches 0 ay positive infinity. I-note ulit natin ha, hindi nag-e-exist yung limit ng f of x as x approaches 0. Pag sinulat natin na infinity yung limit, sinasabi lang natin yung behavior. Ito nag-i-increase without bound. Pero hindi existent ang limit. Klaro? Second example tayo. So, consider naman natin yung f of x equals negative 1 over x squared. So, habang si x ay lumalapit kay 0 from the left, so pababa lang ng pababa yung f of x without bound. No? Wala siyang i-approach na specific real value. So, dahil doon, ang susulat natin dito ay yung limit ng f of x as x approaches 0 from the left ay negative infinity. Kapag from the right, so habang lumalapit si x kay 0 galing sa kanan, pababa lang rin ng pababa yung f of x without bound. So pag ganon, yung limit niya ay negative infinity din. Parehong negative infinity yung limit mula sa kaliwa at saka mula sa kanan ng 0. Therefore, yung limit ng f of x as x approaches 0 ay negative infinity. Okay? Ito yung infinite limits. Punta tayo sa example number 3. How about kapag yung f of x ay equal sa 1 over x? So, check natin habang yung x ay papalapit sa 0 mula sa kaliwa, pababa lang ng pababa yung f of x without bound. Therefore, yung limit nito ay negative infinity. Kapag si x naman ay papalapit kay 0 from the right, so makita natin na yung f of x ay pataas lang ng pataas without bound. So, yung limit ng f of x as x approaches 0 from the right ay positive infinity. Okay ba yun? Hindi equal yung left at saka right hand limit. So, hindi natin isusulat na infinity yung limit dito, kundi does not exist na lang. Okay? Sa example number 1, yung limit from the left at yung limit from the right ay parehas na positive infinity. Therefore, dinescribe natin yung two-sided limit. Sa example number 2, pareho silang negative infinity. So, dinescribe din natin yung two-sided limit. Pero dito, yung left-hand limit ay negative infinity. Yung right-hand limit ay positive infinity. So, isang pababa ng pababa without bound. Isang pataas ng pataas without bound. So, hindi talaga natin dito madidescribe yung limit ng f of x as x approaches 0. Tama? Ibang-iba talaga yung behavior from the left at saka from the right. So, does not exist yung susulat natin. So, punta tayo sa intuitive definition ng infinite limits ng functions. The limit of f of x as x approaches c is positive infinity denoted by lim of f of x as x approaches c is equal to positive infinity if the value of f of x increases without bound whenever the values of x get closer and closer to c. Okay? Pag nag-i-increase without bound, yung f of x as x approaches c, ang sinusulat natin na limit ay positive infinity. Kapag yung f of x naman ay nagdi-decrease without bound as x approaches c, then sinasabi natin na yung limit ng f of x doon ay negative infinity. Okay? Remark number 1, tandaan natin na ang infinity ay hindi real number. So kahit na sinusulat natin na yung limit ay positive infinity or negative infinity, hindi pa rin nag-exist yung limit. So sinasabi lang natin yung behavior. Okay? So basta infinite limits, yung limit ay hindi nag-exist, pero yung function values ay nag-i-increase without bound or nagdi-decrease without bound. Second remark, whenever limit of f of x as x approaches c from the right is positive or negative infinity, or yung limit naman ng f of x as x approaches c from the left ay positive or negative infinity, usually meron tayong makikitang dashed vertical line x equals c sa graph. Okay? This is to indicate that the graph of y equals f of x is asymptotic to x equals c. And that is, the graphs of y equals f of x and x equals c are very close to each other near c. In this case, we call x equals c a vertical asymptote of the graph of y equals f of x. Of course, sa pag-evaluate ng limits, hindi practical ang laging i-graph yung mga functions. So, kailangan natin minsan ng mga tools na mapapadali yung pag-evaluate natin ng limits. So, meron tayong theorems. And ngayon, meron tayong theorems on infinite limits. So, let n be a positive integer. So, yung limit ng 1 over x to the n as x approaches 0 from the right ay positive infinity. Okay? Second, ang limit ng 1 over x to the n as x approaches 0 from the left ay positive infinity kapag yung n ay even and negative infinity kapag yung n ay odd. Klaro ba yon? So, moreover, if limit ng f of x as x approaches a ay equals to c, constant yung c, and limit of g of x as x approaches a is equal to 0, then, if yung c ay positive and si g of x ang ina-approach niya ay si 0 from the right, so coming from the positive values, then yung limit ng f of x divided by g of x as x approaches a ay equals to positive infinity. Ang form nito ay positive divided by 0 from the right. Take note sa limits, ang concern natin hindi yung eksaktong value, no? Hindi yung eksaktong point, kundi yung mga malapit doon. So, positive constant yun sa numerator. Sa denominator, hindi eksaktong 0. Papunta kay 0 pero galing sa right. So, mga positive. Mga 0.01, 0.0001, and so on. Yung mga yon, no? So, positive divided by positive, positive. Pero dahil approaches 0 yung denominator, positive infinity. Kapag yung c ay positive, yung na-approach naman g of x ay si 0 pero galing naman sa negative values, then yung limit nito ay negative infinity. Yung form, meron tayong positive divided by 0 coming from the left. Form lang to, no? Hindi ko sinasabi talagang divided by 0. Kasi hindi naman sa saktong 0 to dinidivide. Okay, limits to. So, before 0, pero mga nasa left side niya. So, positive divided by negative, so we have negative infinity dito. Kapag si c naman ay negative, and si g of x ay nag-approach kay 0 from the right, then yung limit ng f of x over g of x as x approaches a ay negative infinity. Bakit? Yung form niya ay negative number sa taas, sa baba ay 0 from the right. So, mga positive values yun. So, negative divided by positive, we have negative. Siyempre, infinity to, no? And then, kapag yung c ay negative, si g of x ay nag-approach kay 0 pero coming from the left. So, positive infinity naman to, no? Kasi negative divided by yung negative numbers din, no? Kaliwa ni 0. So, yung mga naka-parenthesis, ito yung mga forms nila. And based sa forms, malaman natin yung mga limits. Pag yung form daw ay positive, tapos 0 from the right, so positive infinity. Kapag positive, tapos sa baba ay 0 from the left, negative infinity. Negative divided by 0 from the right, yung form. So we have negative infinity. Negative divided by 0 from the left, so positive infinity. Okay? Hindi to division by 0, okay? Sample number 4, consider f of x equals 2x all over x minus 3. So, kunin natin yung limit nito as x approaches 3 from the left muna. So, paano natin gagawin? Pa-take note na rational expression tong 2x over x minus 3. However, yung c natin, yung 3, pag sinubstitute natin ay magpapa-undefined. Okay? Therefore, hindi gagana dito yung direct substitution. So, anong pwede natin gawin dito? Using yung previous theorem, pwede nating alamin muna yung form nito. Ano ba yung form nito? Kapag sinubstitute natin to sa taas, magiging 6. Pag sinubstitute sa denominator, magiging 0. So, hindi pwede. Pero pwede nating i-check saan siya papunta. Papunta sa 0, pero from the right ba or from the left? Take note, si x nag-approach kay 3 galing sa kaliwa. So, mga less than 3 yon. Say sila 2.99, 2.99999, so on. Basta less than 3. Pag nag-minus tayo ng 3 doon, magiging negative na yon. So, 0 coming from the negative side. So, yung form ay 6 over 0 from the left. So, ito ay equal sa positive divided by negative, negative infinity. Okay? So, next, kapag from the right naman, pag sinubstitute, 6 pa din naman sa numerator, yung ina-approach ng denominator ay si 0 pa rin. Pero since si x ay nag-approach kay 3 from the right, mga greater than kay 3 to, pag nag-subtract tayo ng 3, ay positive. So, approach kay 0 from the positive side. So, yung form ay 6 over 0 from the right. So, positive divided by positive, positive to. Pero dahil constant over 0 to, so positive infinity. Since yung limit from the left ay negative infinity at yung limit from the right ay positive infinity, then hindi nag-exist yung limit ni 2x all over x minus 3 as x approaches 3. Okay? Sample number 5. Consider f of x equals 6x minus 5 all over x squared. Para makuha yung limit nito as x approaches 0 from the left, hindi gagana yung simple substitution. So, ang gagawin natin ay kukunin muna natin yung form. Ano bang form nito? Pag sinubstitute natin 0 sa numerator, magiging negative 5. Okay? Sa denominator, mag-0. But ang question, habang si x ay nag-approach sa 0 from the left, so mga negative numbers yon, ano yung ina-approach nung x squared? Negative din ba or positive? So, syempre, dahil x squared to, ina-approach niya si 0 from the right. Kasi kahit na negative yung mga values ng x, dahil naka-square to, magiging positive. Okay? So, yung denominator, 0 from the right. Okay? So, pag meron tayong ganito, negative tas positive, we have negative infinity. Next, yung limit naman from the right, so, substitute ulit natin sa numerator, we have negative 5. Sa denominator, ano yung ina-approach? 0 from the right pa din. Bakit? Kasi naka-square, di ba? So, hindi pwedeng negative to. So, 0 from the right pa din. So, negative 5 over 0 from the right, negative infinity pa rin. And since parehas ang negative infinity yung limit from the left at saka yung limit from the right, then yung limit ng 6x minus 5 all over x squared as x approaches 0 ay negative infinity. Okay? Sample number 6, consider f of x equals tangent ng x. Pero take note, si tangent x ay equal sa sin x over cosine x. So, kunin natin yung limit ng tangent as x approaches pi over 2 from the left. Okay? So, ang gagawin natin, kunin ulit natin yung form. Yung sa numerator, ang ina-approach ni sin x as x approaches pi over 2 from the left ay 1. Sa denominator, ina-approach niya si 0. Ang question, From the right ba or from the left? So, pa-take note na si x ay papalapit kay pi over 2 from the left. So, mga less than pi over 2 to. So, banda sa first quadrant, yung associated na point dito. So, yung x doon ay positive. So, yung form ay 1 over 0 from the right. So, dahil doon, positive infinity to. Kapag si x naman ina-approach si pi over 2 from the right, so mga greater than kay pi over 2 to, yung associated na point dito ay nasa quadrant 2. So, quadrant 2, ang cosine doon ay negative, no? So, 1 over 0 from the left to. So, ito ay negative infinity. So, yung limit ng tangent x as x approaches pi over 2 ay hindi nag-exist. Okay? Para sa ating last na example, consider natin yung f of x equals ln x. Unlike sa mga examples natin previously, mga quotients sila, right? So, nakuha natin yung form na constant over 0 yung form. Pero dito, hindi ganun yung form. So, anong gagamitin natin dito? Gagamit tayo ng graph. And madali lang rin naman kunin ang graph ng f of x equals ln x. So, tingnan natin dito, habang si x ay papalapit kay 0 galing sa kanan, ang nilalapitan ng ln x ay, so walang specific number, pababa lang ng pababa. Therefore, ang limit nito ay negative infinity. Okay? So, I hope naging klaro sa inyo ang mga infinite limits. Kung may questions kayo, huwag kayong mahiyang mag-comment down below. Okay? I hope nakatulong sa inyo. So, kung na-appreciate nyo itong discussion natin, don't forget to like and subscribe and share this to your friends. See you next time.